All right, so welcome to Between the Sets, the podcast where we can talk about a wide range of things, mainly the things that come up between the sets. But today we're going to focus more on fitness because I have a guest. We go way back. It's been a little bit, but I'm glad to have her on the episode. She comes with a lot of knowledge. She has a lot of experience in the fitness training realm. So I'll let her talk about that a little more in a second. So Emily Getreu, go ahead and give yourself a little introduction about why you're here to talk about fitness.
Awesome. Yeah, like you said, my name is Emily Getreu. I know you from tech school. I'm in the Air Force. Yes, I've been active duty almost 6 years. I'm about to get out to pursue school full time, but I'm also a part-time personal trainer.
Nice. That's cool. So as far as fitness as a whole, you said you're a part-time trainer. How long have you been doing that?
So I got my first certification in 2015. So I just started with ACE, and then I let that expire, kind of took some time off from personal training, and then recently re-upped with NCSF, so National Council of Strength and Fitness. So I'm kind of getting back into it right now.
Okay, sweet. So those two, I've heard of ACE and I've heard of the other one as well. Are they fairly similar? They're basically like certifications for the personal training thing?
Yeah,
they have little different pieces?
Yeah, everything is a little bit different. It kind of just depends what your gym is looking for. So certain gyms require certain certs. I know a lot of the commercial gyms will accept ACE and NASM. I think those are the two biggest. And then if you're doing it freelance, you can kind of have anything. It really just depends on which one you go for.
Okay, that makes sense. But you went to two different schoolings, right? So to speak, like their curriculum is different. Did you prefer one over the other, or how does that work?
So the reason that I did NCSF the second time was because they were offering a weekend workshop in San Antonio where I live. So I was able to go in person and take the course with an instructor, and I prefer to learn like that. ACE was great. There's a lot of similarities, but ACE was all online. And so that was, disciplining myself to do it every day and to study, and I preferred the weekend workshop.
No, I'm right there with you for sure. Like even just in a college atmosphere, I would prefer to go to class, that's just how I've always been too. So that makes a lot of sense. As far as fitness and stuff, how long have you been into it or have an interest? Does it go way back, like maybe in high school you played sports or something like that, or?
Yeah, I've been doing sports most of my life, soccer and cheerleading in elementary, middle school. Then I moved on to dance. I did swim and water polo for 4 years, cheerleading again in high school. Yeah, that all led up to me joining the military, and then I tried preparing for that.
Okay, that's cool. So you've had experience being pretty active for the most part, like throughout your life.
Yeah, definitely. I don't think there's, other than injuries, any time that I've not been active.
Yeah. And then as far as just having that specific focus on, would you say you're, coach, trainer, would you more so classify yourself as that, or a bodybuilder, or where does your heart lie in that sense as far as how you classify?
So I definitely feel like I'm a bodybuilder. I compete in bodybuilding competitions. I'm in PC, so amateur bikini bodybuilding. That's what I love for myself. But as a coach, I would consider myself more of a lifestyle coach. I don't train competitors. I don't feel like I'm ready to train competitors. Right. I train your normal everyday person on lifestyle, health, getting back into the gym, things like that.
That makes sense. Yeah, that's good. I mean, at least it's kind of that whole self-awareness as far as knowing where you're going to be able to help people and all that kind of stuff. Because you're right. Like the competitive levels is just, it's a competitive level. It's a different thing, when you're getting to that area. Well, that's cool. It makes sense that you kind of like fell into that, this kind of space naturally from your past and stuff. With that in mind, is there anything that like sticks out to you as your proudest thing, like whether it was from high school or maybe more recent, as far as the fitness journey stuff goes?
Yeah, so I would say my two proudest moments in my fitness journey have been the first time I ever stepped on stage for bodybuilding, because it was just such a long journey.
Yeah.
And that was just so exciting, such an awesome experience. And then secondly, my very first powerlifting meet, because I've never done powerlifting. My squadron was having a competition. Some friends convinced me, so I took a few months training with some of my powerlifting friends. I didn't do great, but it was a great experience.
You got numbers on the board. That's still really cool, you know?
Yeah, it was a blast.
And that's better than, you know, analysis by paralysis, you know, which I'm definitely kind of that type, because I should have already done a competition at this point. But it's, again, it's that thinking that, hey, you know what, maybe my numbers aren't good enough, so I'm just not going to do it. But it's way better to just get those numbers on the board and to go from there, you know?
Absolutely, yeah.
But that's super cool. How long was your prep for the bikini competition?
So my first prep, I had been working with my coach for a few months, and then we did about an 18-week prep. I'm no longer working with that coach, but love him. He's a great guy. With my coach now, we will probably do, I mean, we've been working together for a year, but as far as competition prep and being in prep, that'd be about 20 weeks or so.
Okay, yeah. That's a grind for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, and for those who don't know, the prep stage of a bodybuilding competition is when you really start cutting back on food. You're in a deficit, you're including cardio, you know, you're really intensifying things so that you can shred all of that body fat, because you have to be so damn lean to get on
you're
stage.
Just getting super dialed in. It's pretty nuts. This part I feel like this is interesting just because obviously you hear a lot of people when we talk about fitness and health and all that, it's kind of hard to even say fitness, health, you know, because sometimes people associate being super crazy competitive lean with being healthy. And I feel like the layman's, people that aren't really in the fitness industry don't really understand that, you know what I'm saying? Because like we might understand that, hey, that guy just finished, he's maybe not the healthiest, you know what I'm saying, after a cut, you know, so to speak, like competing just because you're getting down to crazy, you're not supposed to be in those states for a suspended amount of time, you know. But I feel like that's kind of one of those perceptions that most people, they're like, oh man, I just want to be stupid lean and then walk around like that. And everyone in the industry is kind of like, nah, you probably don't.
No. There's no way to maintain that year round. And by no means is bodybuilding healthy. Now we don't stay lean year round. At least you shouldn't. My coach reverses me out of my lowest point. We try to go back into eating nice and healthy and slow. And then for most of the year, I'm eating a lot of food. I'm just working on building muscle. So staying that lean is just for a very short amount of time. And I mean, you can argue that that's your least healthiest point of the year as an athlete, is, you know, that week out on stage, that day on stage. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah, it's pretty cool. But I'm sure that whole journey going through the mental states that I'm sure there was a lot of different mental states going through that whole prep, you know?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Exactly. I would say that's the hardest thing I've ever done. Like powerlifting and preparing for that, I was just like, hell yeah, like let's lift some heavy weights. If I can't get it up, can I cuss, by the way?
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Okay, I didn't want anything to slip out.
No, you're good.
Yeah, no, I mean, preparing for powerlifting, it's just like, let's get fucking gnarly and like, let's lift this. And if we don't do it, we try again.
For sure.
But with bodybuilding, it's like this mental challenge every single day. It's like, I don't want to wake up and do an hour of fasted cardio, but there's another girl that's waking up and doing an hour of fasted cardio. And I don't want to give up all my favorite foods, especially as somebody that likes to cook and eat, but I have to, you know, it's chicken breast and it's rice or potatoes and veggies for 20 weeks. And if you don't do it, cool, fine, but you're not going to place. And there are other people that are doing it. So it's a mental sacrifice.
Yeah. And that probably really helped, that having your past mentality of being a competitive athlete, that probably definitely helped because you understood that, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. It helps a lot.
Yeah. You didn't just come from nothing in terms of sports, you know, you kind of already knew that, like, oh man, they're over there studying plays and doing all that stuff, trying to get the one up on me, you know? So that is cool and definitely something to be proud of for sure. Do you have any hopes to do that again? Or are you coming up with anything like that? in the future?
Yeah, so I'm working with my coach right now. COVID has kind of thrown a wrench in some things.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do hope I wanted to compete this fall or winter. We're just kind of taking it day by day because it's really important that I maintain the muscle mass that I built last year and that I keep building on it to be as competitive as possible. So while I'm getting in some freaking killer workouts at home, I might not be building as much muscle right now as I'd like to be. So we're gonna kind of see where things go in the next few months and take it, week by week, and then decide, okay, what show are we aiming for, and then okay, let's kill everything for that.
Line it up for that. That makes sense. Yeah. That's pretty cool. So, I mean, I would imagine that since your history and all that kind of stuff, you've probably been fairly consistent throughout your whole journey. Do you feel like there's ever a time where maybe your consistency was an issue, and if so, how do you manage that? Just because, again, too, kind of like maybe speaking to people that are on the fence or not sure how to deal with that or be as consistent as you know?
Yeah, no, it's definitely been an issue. I don't think there's any perfect athlete ever. And for me, I've had some ups and downs in the past 5 years with different family things and struggles of my own. I've struggled with depression, and that's definitely taken its toll on my fitness journey. And so my biggest piece of advice is be as consistent as you can. Wake up, tell yourself, I'm going to go to the gym, and just do it. But also don't beat yourself up if you have days or if you have periods of time where it's just not working out how you imagine it. Because I think the worst times for me, when I was just the hardest on myself, I was beating myself up for not, hitting X, Y, or Z goal.
Right.
And I think that's where you really have a setback. So it's just knowing that life happens, no one's perfect, and pushing as hard as you can.
Yeah, someone's ability to pretty much roll with the punches and to just get back in there kind of thing. Which I feel like it makes sense why maybe someone that is new it's a little more difficult. They end up getting a little more discouraged probably because they feel like, oh no, like all this work and it's so hard. But that's kind of what it is for me. I mean, I've realized because I'm not in competitions and all that kind of stuff, and I'm not a personal trainer. So it's been interesting to try to, because I know that I love it. So I'm like, I really want to keep it as part of my life. Obviously, if you're a personal trainer and some of those things, it helps a little more because you're like, not only is it my passion, it's my livelihood and all these other things. But I think you hit it in that sense because that's where I find myself too. Whenever I'm in a career and I'm like, oh, well, I got to do something over here. Maybe it may take some time for my training, but then I end up coming back to it somehow, some way, Yeah. And then overall, that ends up being still, if you take a scope of 10 years, you could still say that you came back to it. You're not just living life on a couch, so to speak.
Yeah.
So you mentioned as far as for your consistency and stuff, switching a little bit, kind of segueing into this community as a whole, because you've been in it for some time now, are there some things that you think that we can do as a fitness community to improve it? Things that annoy you maybe about it?
Yeah, I don't know. I've seen the fitness community change quite a bit over the past 5+ years. You always see trends and you see things that people are crazy about for a period of time. I think the biggest thing in the community is just, and it sounds so cliche, but supporting each other. Backing each other up, cheering each other on. No one is better than the next person. So you see somebody that's just getting started, don't sit back and I guess judge them or laugh at them. And that sounds like common sense, but I still see it today. And so I just think that the more support we have, the more education we have as a community, the more cheering we have, cheering each other on. I think those things go such a long way. Yeah. And if we continue that, then it's only going to get better.
Yeah, I agree. And I think even though it may be or sound something that is common sense, it's still important for us to keep, saying that, you know what I mean? And hopefully more people hear it and more people do it because you're right. That is what helps. For me, I came from a life of where I just kind of for the most part, through high school, I didn't play sports. I played a lot of video games. And I didn't get into working out until more after high school. So in your example, if I was around people that were like that, where you're, saying more welcoming and stuff like that kind of thing, I could have, fell into it a little earlier, kind of. So it makes sense just being able to accept people no matter where they are and treat them as your equal in that sense. But this is a place that is just a heavy concentration of people that are like really ego driven. So that's
Yeah.
that's the part that's difficult, and then we as society, I feel like we perpetuate it, right? Because everyone wants to see it, it's the extremes usually that are really like interesting, you know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
on the mass side, people that are just ginormous, huge muscular, it gets a lot of attention, you know but it's so weird because usually when people look that direction, there's a lot of things that they don't know about, you know what I mean? There's a lot of hidden things as far as what those special supplements and all these other different intricacies of it, so
Yeah, and I think that ties into my point about education. I think that's why it's so important. It doesn't matter if you're a personal trainer or not, if you're a competitor or not. If fitness is an interest to you, if your goal is to better yourself, health-wise, fitness-wise, then you really need to be educating yourself. And you don't even have to go out and get certs. There are so many educational articles online, YouTube videos, newsletters that you can subscribe to where these people are, PhDs and they're scientists and they're really talking about just every aspect of it.
Tons of
So
them.
I think education goes such a long way in not judging each other, in bettering ourselves, in improving the community. And so I think that's such a big part of it. And then you don't have to be so intimidated. You look at the biggest guy in the gym and you're like, okay, I know how he did that,
Yeah,
and
that's
it's not
true.
as intimidating, especially for females too, which I see quite a bit, the intimidation.
Yeah, that is a big thing, intimidation, and it probably does go both ways to some degree. But yeah, I've had that experience where I've tried to get people to the gym, and they're female and stuff, and they're like, I don't want to, I'm scared or
People are
whatever.
watching me.
That or the classic, like, I don't want to get buff.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's. Oh,
I'm like, it's
it
so
drives me
funny.
nuts.
It's so funny because again, yeah, and it makes sense because you are a person of the craft, right? So it's like to have the audacity to be able to say like you're starting day one and then you're like, nah, I don't want to be too huge.
I don't want to look manly. I don't want to look beefy. Yeah.
And you're like, well, good, because you won't, like, for like a long, long time,
I'm like, girl, I'm still trying to get there.
yeah. It's just funny. But so yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, definitely some areas that we need to improve. But like you said, with the education and the good parts of social media, I feel like we are coming to that point. And again, it's just up to us, to, like you said, support each other, like you're doing right now, by the way, by even doing this podcast, which I appreciate.
No problem. Love this.
So yeah, that definitely makes sense. This question always is interesting to me, and you may have a good insight of this because you came from an athletic past, but if you weren't a bodybuilder, what other kind of athlete do you feel like you would be?
I miss swimming a lot. I don't even think I have to think about that question.
Oh yeah.
I love swimming. I love water polo. It's actually something that I've been trying to find here in Texas. It's not as popular as it was where I grew up in California. And I found a local club. I have to pay weekly, so I haven't really jumped into that yet, but I could play club water polo. And then I'm also trying to find any openings in the high schools to coach it or help coach it. But man, yeah, I miss swimming and water polo quite a bit. I wish I could have continued on with that at a higher level.
Yeah, that is a pretty cool. I know it was fairly big at in my school too, in California. Go figure.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a big thing. They were the team and stuff, water polo team. Everyone was like, "Oh my god!" But yeah, that is pretty cool. Do you feel like there's anything else in terms of the water polo stuff that you went through in your past that translated over into what you do now that's helped you?
Yeah, so conditioning for water polo sucks. Like, it's definitely
like
not
probably
easy.
terrible, right? It's probably terrible.
I mean, my coach would have us swimming laps in jeans to strengthen our legs. Yeah, we would be doing lunges until we couldn't walk the next day. You got girls socking you, pulling you under, trying to drown you.
Dude,
I mean, it's intense.
you're
And
not the
so,
first person that's told me that.
oh no, yeah, because it's not an uncommon thing in water polo. I mean, you're out for blood, and I think
Yeah.
that intensity
Mhm.
is what translated over into bodybuilding for me, because
You got to bring
for
some of it, yeah.
yeah, you have to be intense in the gym,
Yeah.
you know, like no reps left behind, giving it your all, or you're gonna go on stage looking average. And there's nothing wrong with average, but if you're gonna be a competitive bodybuilder,
Different.
there's no place for
Yeah,
it.
it's different. Yeah, it's different.
Yeah.
Different thing. That's so funny. There's definitely a common denominator, because everyone I've talked to about swimming that has a swimming pass, they always talk about their practices and how grueling they were and stuff like that. I'm like, man, those swimming coaches.
Oh yeah, 3 hours and just in the gym or in the pool. No,
Yeah.
it's rough.
And some people would go like before school, get thrashed, go to school, and then get thrashed after school. I'm like, what? That's
Yeah,
tough.
it's intense.
So like going through some of this other training stuff, like military wise, that probably was a cakewalk.
Yeah, I think the only thing that really sucked about basic was the mental aspect of it. Physically, I mean,
Yeah.
it was hot. I was, you know, in Texas
True.
in July, but I was the guidon bearer for my flight. So I'm running around with my big old guidon and boots and full
Yeah.
uniform, you know,
Yeah.
and it was just, again, the mental aspect.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, as far as like the boot camp thing, it was just weird being like 24/7 military and nothing else.
Yeah.
You know, like not even hearing like a song or something like that. You know, it was just for that 2-month period. You know, it was just military.
Oh yeah,
Maybe
when
nothing.
our MTI let us, it was like a Sunday much further on, and she let us play, I think it was a Beyonce CD while we were cleaning, and we were just like, oh my god,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
we miss the normal world, we miss music. Yeah,
Right. It was
awesome.
that was the weirdest part.
Mhm.
But good times nonetheless. All right, so this next question, and it kind of ties into what my aim is a little bit. Like I said, I kind of grew up playing video games and all that stuff, and I feel like for me, granted, I may not be a coach, who knows, maybe I'll do some stuff like that later on in the future, but I feel like I could maybe point people in the right direction, point people to your direction, you know, some other people, because I have that at least insight to know where not to go and maybe where to go. More specifically for maybe younger guys or gals that are, you know, in the gaming world, and then have an interest in fitness and want to get started in it and kind of stuff. So, because I feel like there's a lot of similarities in a weird way. Like I had this realization when I was playing a game. I had like a whole bunch of hours logged into this game called Fallout 3, and it was like 120 hours back in the day. And I was like looking at that file and I was like, I could be doing so much other things, you know what I mean? So, and then you go into the world of, you know, bodybuilding, powerlifting and stuff. And it has that similarities. It's just the only difference is you're working on yourself and not a character in a video game, you know?
Sure.
So you just got to put those hours in a different time, in a different place. But I had that realization, you know, I was like, oh, like life is a game, you know, you just got to do those things and put your time in elsewhere. But it's not like I like playing them. I'm sure you have your little guilty pleasures too that come outside of the fitness world in some way. We'll probably get to that in a second. But with those people, do you have advice for people that are on the fence, that are going to try to get into fitness, and where to start and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so my biggest piece of advice is do your research. When I first started, I totally ripped off on my very first competition prep coach, and I was out like $1,200 because she didn't have the education. Yeah, she didn't have the certs, she didn't have the knowledge, and I knew none of this going into it.
Right.
So I would say if you're looking to find a coach or a trainer, make sure that they have the education. Make sure that their clients speak to their work, that they have a good brand, because at the end of the day, it is about how well they do as a coach and can brand themselves. And then, I mean, just don't be afraid to ask questions. What's your cert? How many certs do you have? When did you get it? What's your background in coaching? These are questions that you shouldn't be afraid to ask, because you're giving that person not only your money, but your health and well-being. So
Yeah.
if you're going to find a coach, I would ask all those questions and do your research. If you're going to do it on your own, I would say just, again, dig into research, YouTube videos, articles, anything you can find online. Teach yourself, like bodybuilding.com.
Is there anyone on YouTube that comes to mind that you kind of...
I really like Jeff Nippard.
Oh yeah,
I'm saying it right. Yeah, so I love the way he explains stuff.
Yeah, he's really good, man. He blew up, man, because like he took a lot of the science stuff, you know, and really still he blew up the science community a lot, you know, in terms of that. He kind of mixed both, you know what I mean? The appeal of it, like the old school appeal of like a good physique and all that kind of stuff, and the bro science-iness kind of a little bit, and then meshed it really with the science, and took off, which was really cool. Yeah, he's a good one.
Absolutely.
He's an OG for sure. So yeah, as far as that, and YouTube's a good thing. It's good that a lot of these kids have that stuff now, you know?
Yeah, there are so many things at our fingertips that we can utilize and teach ourselves and educate ourselves. And I mean, it's just endless opportunities.
Yeah, really especially through, you know, like if you social media and all that kind of stuff, there's a lot. It's just, that's the tough part where I feel like people like yourself, you got to have those points where people are like, avoid this area, you know, don't, you know, the people that are selling like, you know, snake oil and all that kind of stuff, just kind of like, hold up, man. Like,
ask the uncomfortable questions. Don't be afraid. Like if you're going to hire somebody, do not drop a single dime until you've asked them those questions, and they should be answering. If somebody's not willing to answer questions before payment, huge red flag. Like just walk away right there.
Yeah, they're like, nah, give me the money first, and then we can talk.
No.
You're like, wait a minute here. This sounds weird. I'm not in a dark alley. This should not be happening.
Exactly.
That's funny. Well, outside of fitness, what catches your attention right now? Is I know there's like this whole big old thing, but outside of that going on, anything, whether it's freaking Tiger King or, you know, whatever craziness that's out there right now, pop culture wise.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge movie buff, and I'm a huge binge watcher. So like if I'm at home and I'm just chilling, I'm binge watching some TV show, or I'm watching movies. I enjoy reading too, so I'm not like totally sucked into tech or like movies and stuff, but I'm a binge watcher. That's where I put my hours in.
There you go. The movie industry, like, shoot, like with all this going on, this is going to be weird to see what happens, you know? Because like even some theaters are just saying that they're going to close down and they're going to go bankrupt and stuff. I'm like, I like the movie theater.
Yeah, it's wild. We've had a few open back up here in San Antonio. And from what I've seen is if you do get a movie ticket, it's every other row is completely closed off. And then you have at least 2 empty spaces in between you. And I think you can only buy tickets in like pairs, at least from what I've seen. So they're really trying, I mean, they're trying to get business, but they're trying to keep it, you know, quarantine safe. And it's wild to see.
Yeah, that's another thing I saw that was really crazy was, there was an article about how much money Disneyland has lost just from all their parks being closed. And it's over $1 billion.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me. That's wild.
That's wild for a lot of reasons. Like, granted, they have a lot of parks, you know, around the world, but $1 billion, you know, that fast, because it's not like it's been like this for that long. Granted, it's been too long or whatever, because we all want to go outside and all that stuff, but that's crazy, that amount of money that they generate that quickly, you know.
It's the crazy expensive churros. I'm telling you, no one's there to buy the food.
You're like, why is this churro $15?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Yeah, we went to Disney World right before all this went down in February, and I was just like, holy shit, everything is so expensive. But yeah, I mean, it's a good time. People aren't gonna stop going.
No, you're right. Like, it's just one of those things. They do a really good job at creating an experience.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's what they do, man. That's what they sell for sure. You know, because I don't know if you've been to Six Flags in California.
Yeah, I have.
It's just a different vibe, you know, like it's a different vibe for sure. And you go to Disneyland, it's just like, you're like, yeah, this is actually the most magical place on earth. Like, they're totally right. That's so crazy. And it's part of the reason why they can generate so much money. But Yeah, hopefully it doesn't affect, big picture, like large movie stuff too much and all that,
Yeah, I've seen a lot. I mean, just outright selling movies on YouTube for $20 or whatever they're going for. So I think they're trying to use that to combat some losses. And I know people that are willing to pay it because, I mean, you're supporting an industry that you enjoy.
For sure. So, what about the gaming world? I know you've had to have played some game at some point.
I enjoy Minecraft.
Oh, okay, cool. That's a huge one.
Yeah.
Like, you're like,
actually,
I gotta tell you, Minecraft.
Let me show you my mouse real quick.
Yeah, show the mouse.
Or not my mouse, my controller.
Show the controller.
So I'm not like a huge nerd, but I do enjoy Minecraft. So
that's legit right there.
I'm not very good at video games. I'm actually pretty bad at them, so that's why I don't play more often. I do enjoy some like PC games. I'll get down on some Slender Man.
Oh, okay.
So I like the spooky games. And then we recently got to experience VR at my aunt's house. That shit's a blast. So I do enjoy it. I'm just not great.
Do you know what system it was for the VR? Do you remember? Was it the Oculus Rift, maybe? No?
I don't think it was the Oculus, but I know that my cousin spent a good amount of money.
Oh, okay. Then it was probably a different one. Was it hooked up to his computer? It
was hooked up to his computer, and he had like 3 different room sensors.
Yeah, that's one of the good ones. That's one of the good ones. Dude, speaking of Minecraft, that game I've never played it because I know it's a time suck.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I've and you've probably heard of World of Warcraft. Also, you've probably heard of that game.
Yep.
I've never played that game either because I know it would consume me. I'm like an addict, so I'm like, nah, I gotta stay away from the things I know that would consume me. But yeah, that game it's kind of interesting just because how much people have made a ton of money off of that game. Like by selling servers, they've sold servers and different things like that. And yeah, how many YouTube creators are out there that just do Minecraft and then make their career is based off of that,
Yeah.
It's wild.
It's crazy. I mean, it blows my mind that people would want to watch a live stream of Minecraft, but it is interesting. Like, even I enjoy watching it.
I know. I feel like at some point, you need to hop on the Twitch. It should be another thing. I think you should.
I thought about it a few years ago because I was really trying to build my brand on Instagram, and I was like, well, maybe I'll just live stream my workouts on Twitch. And at the time, all my guy friends were like, it's just gonna be creepy guys watching you, like I wouldn't do it, whatever. And now I don't know if you know her, Nikki Blackheader, one of the biggest fitness Instagram girls.
She's probably doing it.
Oh, she's on Twitch. I mean, she games as well, but she also live streams her videos and has a ton of followers on Twitch.
Yeah, I mean, it's the way to do it,
Yeah,
it's the way to do it.
There's definitely a market for it.
That's why I'm like, kind of sucks because I'm here and I have a full gym at home. So once I get back, I'm just gonna do that and then, game here and there, and then pull people from the game section and be like, yo, I stream my workouts, and when I'm streaming my workouts, yo, I play games. And then kind of do that kind of stuff and then help the gaming community not be a potato.
Yeah. Yeah, and it really expands your audience and you can reach out to way more people.
And it's
hitting both.
It's really cool because, a lot of people don't understand, and I don't know, because you say you're a gamer, but I don't know how deep you are into it. But like in terms of the, when you try to explain Twitch and why people they're like, wait, why would you watch a stream? Like you were just saying. Yeah. And then you're like, well, what about like football,
Exactly. Because it's what you're interested in. You
grew up with it, you played it and all that kind of stuff, and now you're watching people play what you played at an elite level.
Yeah.
A level that you'll probably never be able to achieve, I think that's an interest too, because why people watch competitive, gamers and all that.
Well, and they have you're not just watching somebody play a game, you're usually watching somebody's personality. The character that they're bringing to their stream, so it's much more interesting than just a game alone.
Yeah, and they have the ability to, so like you're on the stream and I can be like, boom, I can donate to you or whatever, all this stuff, and then you can shout me out, you can talk to me directly, you know what I mean? I can't do that at a basketball game. I can't donate to LeBron James and then him be like, yo, Drake, like, yeah, what's up? Like, thanks for the donation, you know?
Yeah.
Can you imagine though, if basketball fans had that ability?
Oh yeah, I would be at every Spurs game ever.
Dude, their minds would explode. Their minds would
Yeah.
explode, you know, just being shouted out by their favorite player. Like, oh yeah, this dunk, this is for you. Bam, you know, like, and that's really what a stream is, because you're seeing these people, you know, that you want to be like playing these athletic games, and then they're talking to you. They're like, yeah, man, thanks. And then they're like, hey, do you want to link up and play a game later? And you're like, what?
Yeah.
So it's
incredible.
It's a cool community. I'm an advocate for it. And I think, especially like in this time right now, those people are chilling.
Oh yeah.
They're chilling. YouTubers.
They're living their normal life.
Yeah. Everyone, they're like, hey, this is what we do. Like, welcome to our world. Now, granted, they have their little thing, and that's their interest, so it's a little different for them. They don't mind it. But yeah, they're chilling right now. They're getting crazy numbers up because people are kind of stuck inside watching. But in terms of that in the future, I feel like that is kind of what the internet does, you know, is it just makes you your own business in a lot of ways. As long as you're, like fitness, willing to put yourself out there and do that research and figure it out, you know, because it is intimidating. It is intimidating.
Absolutely.
To a degree. But yeah, that's it. I'm pretty sure. I think we're done. Do you have anything that you want to shout out, or anything that you're working on, you want people to check out, or anything like that?
Well, let me say first, thank you for having me on. This was a lot of fun. I am a personal trainer, so I guess if any of your audience needs any training, I'm at Emily Getreu on Instagram. Sure. It's Getreu. Yep. Other than that, I'm not really working on any huge projects right now, so just here for your personal training needs. Yeah, for sure. That'll work out. I will definitely link in the descriptions and all that kind of stuff. And then if you ever need help, if you want to do a podcast, just hit me up. And like you said, we'll be there. I'll be there to support you if you ever need it. And I'm sure I'm going to need your help at some point too, because you've been doing this stuff a lot longer than I have. So yeah, I'm here for you. I appreciate it. So that's going to wrap up episode 4 of Between the Sets. So what we did, we just talked about different things, games, all the stuff that's coming up between the sets. So I appreciate it. If you guys like this kind of content, like it, and then consider subscribing to the channel. I have a few more interviews coming up, some Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts, and some boys that I used to work out with. So it's going to be good times. Once again, we appreciate it. So we'll see you on the next one.